We have a dream about man as a well-oiled and even more perfect machine, intelligent, persistent, and forever young. We dream about winning, beating our inabilities, death, and other people.
Altså det vi så i dag, det er noget, der tror jeg ikke, der sker de næste 25-30 år i Tour de France-historien. Det var simpelthen en verdensklasse, altså det var helt utroligt.
Perhaps it'll happen anyway. Within 25 years, it might be quite normal to do as Floyd Landis, improve human properties artificially, and modern science brings the dream of the perfect mixture of man and machine closer. Engineering science, computer technology, and brain research are approaching one another. We can repair, but also improve humans medically as well as technically by creating something in between the human and the machine. A cyborg. Some people think we can create a new and better human artificially. Homo artifact. At the same time, we see intensive research into the development of intelligent robots that look like living creatures and can make independent decisions. This evolution raises a broad range of ethical questions. How far should we go? Popular culture has gone the whole way and created robots and cyborgs that are so similar to humans that you can hardly see the difference between them and a real human being. And that's also the point, for deep down, it's about us and our ideas, about happiness, ethics and morals, according to Associate Professor Rikke Schubart, who studies science fiction film.
Altså som jeg har set på de her cyborgs og robotter, så er de slet ikke maskiner. Vi opfatter dem ikke som en udvidet støvsuger eller sådan noget lignende. Tværtimod opfatter vi dem som skygger af os selv. De handler om det menneskelige. Og så kan man sige, de handler om, meget grænserne for egentlig ikke, hvor det menneskelige går, men hvor vores etik byder os, at der må det menneskelige ikke gå ud. Og man kan sige, en film som AI, den handler så også om, hvad sker der, hvis man leger med det at skabe liv, men man i øvrigt ikke behandler det liv, man skaber, som liv.
Popular culture and films about robots and cyborgs are increasingly used to discuss the general ethical questions about how far humans should go in their endeavors to improve or create life.
Og det griber selvfølgelig tilbage til den her Frankenstein-tematik og Faust-tematikken om, at man leger Gud. Man går i Guds fodspor og forsøger at skabe liv uden Guds velsignelse, og straffen er jo så, at det her liv vender sig mod en selv.
Some of the main ethical issues in robot and science fiction movies are whether we have the right to regard life that we've created as machines or pure entertainment just because it's not human-like. But what is human?
Det interessante ved robotter er egentlig hele tiden den der grænse mellem det menneskelige og det maskinelle, men det maskinelle som der, hvor vi godt kan række ind. Altså der, hvor vi kan sige, hvis nu jeg også kunne få evigt liv, hvis jeg kunne få et kunstigt ben til at gå på, hvis jeg kunne få længere liv, hvis jeg kunne skifte mit hjerte ud, så jeg kunne leve dobbelt så lang tid. Og det er jo den slags ting, vi eksperimenterer meget med nu.
This is why the newest robot and cyborg technology is something we can't just deal with in science fiction films. We must relate to it in the real world. For many years, it's been normal to use robots in industry. No one questions this anymore. They look like what they are, machines, and we're happy that people don't have to do the hardest work. But the robots are now heading into the homes of ordinary people. Household robots are currently equipped with artificial intelligence that helps them recognize their environment. The vacuum cleaner gets to know your home. This means that it doesn't fall down the stairs and can work when you're not at home, so it doesn't get in the way. But it still looks like a machine. Pets are entirely different. You can get a robot dog that's both fun and irritating, and which looks as if it loves you as unconditionally as a real dog, because it can learn to distinguish you from other people. And in Japan, where the former Prime Minister's crazy about robots, they invented a robot seal that's supposed to be particularly good with people with dementia. But a machine doesn't have to look like animals or people for us to care for it, according to Professor Ronald Arkin of the College of Computing in Georgia.
Not only can humans attach to perhaps robots, but to any form of technology. We've noticed that people fall in love with their machines. People develop strong bonds with those particular systems, and it's been studied scientifically and proven in many cases to be therapeutic, especially for elder people.
Some people say that entertainment and household robots are fun and useful, while others fear that robot partners, which are capable of learning people's habits and wishes, can take over both care and personal contact, for instance in the care of the elderly. And this raises the issue of our relationship with machines. Is it ethically justifiable to let elderly people become emotionally attached to machines? But is it possible to design a robot that can learn to imitate human behavior? Raja Shatila studies this subject. As the head of the EU-supported research project Cogniron, he's trying to develop a robot that can serve people as a companion, a so-called cognitive robot partner.
We have focused on 4 cognitive capabilities. The first one is understanding space. The second cognitive capability is decision making, which means ability to make choices. The third capacity is learning.
He knows that there are people around.
Framing us.
Yeah.
And finally, the fourth cognitive capability is communication, interaction. Here it's interaction with the humans in a way that is natural for humans, in a way that can be understandable.
But what is a household computer actually? Raja Chatila calls it a partner, but can a machine be a partner, or is it a slave?
We will end up losing our own civility towards each other if we start losing our civility towards devices that seem to look like us as well. And as soon as we start thinking of things that look like humans as slaves, the likelihood of us looking at each other as slaves becomes more and more possible.
There are numerous ethical issues involved if we begin to associate with human-like robots. It may change our perception of what it means to be human.
This will probably question our own understanding of what is cognition, what is intelligence, and maybe what is to be human.
Raja Chatila also asks what it means to have a machine that knows all about you, personally, and all your habits, and who will be responsible for the robots and for what they're doing once they become capable of making decisions. In 1950, the science fiction author Isaac Asimov formulated the 3 laws of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being, a robot must obey any orders given to it by human beings, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. These laws were violated a long time ago, not by robots, but by humans.
Some robotics weapons are already in operation, I would say. And the prospects are that this is going to grow, and even probably that the robots would have the capacity to open fire by themselves.
Smart robots are not necessarily big or similar to anything we know. Individually, they may not be particularly clever. They've just learnt to work together like bees, flocks of birds or schools of fish. It's called swarm intelligence, and quite another type of intelligence. A few simple rules make the group act in a way that looks like intelligent behavior. Small swarm intelligent robots can solve problems in places that are forbidding for people. They can clean nuclear power plants or tidy up after pollution in deep water. Professor Dr. Krailsham works at the EU-supported research project iSwarm and doesn't foresee any major problems with the new technology.
Personally, I would not see more problems than with any other technical or chemical invention. So with every new technical component, a medicine you can help, and at the same time, if you would spread some medicines in the drinking water for a city, it would or it might be a disaster. All of those strategies can be a benefit for humans and can be not a benefit. But compared to the problem of nuclear power or things like this, I personally would consider this problem rather to be a small one.
You could ask, though, what might happen when you dispatch a whole swarm of robots into the environment and they can't be centrally switched off? How do you stop them if they suddenly change their behavior and start to harm their environment? There are also ethical problems in combining human beings and machines in a so-called cyborg. It's already being done on a very small scale in recreating an ability or function that was lost or was missing since birth. It means that the aids of the future are not an addition, but an integrated part of the human being, which is connected directly with the nervous system. Many years will presumably pass before people can control their computers without using a mouse or a keyboard, or can play a computer game by coupling their brains directly to the computer. But it's not impossible, since there are already scientists who've successfully operated electrodes into the brains of a monkey so that it can play a simple computer game without using a joystick. The European Union has given a lot of funding to research into this area. The Robotics project, for instance, studies how to strengthen integration between the human brain and robot-like artifacts. The researchers are, for example, working to develop an arm that's directly integrated with the human brain. At the Center for Sensory Motor Interaction at Aalborg University, scientists work to help patients who were paralyzed after a stroke using electrical impulses. Professor Thomas Sinclair explains.
Du kan godt tage det billede, hvor du siger, hvis der er en del af hjernen, der ikke længere kan for eksempel styre de muskler, der vipper din fod op, så kan vi ved hjælp af sådan et neuroimplantat, som vi kalder det, altså sådan en pacemaker, så kan vi lægge den ind under huden, ned i benene, og stimulere de muskler, som hjernen ikke kan længere. Og dermed erstatter vi jo faktisk en funktion, som hjernen tidligere gjort.
But in the future, it may not just be the physical features you can improve by using electronics.
Man kan jo også forestille sig, at vi i løbet af nogle få år kan lægge elektroder ned i de områder af hjernen, der fremmer hvor aggressiv vi vil være, eller der gør os glade, eller gør os deprimerede. Og der mener jeg, der har vi jo en masse etiske udfordringer. Skal vi gøre det? Vi skal i hvert fald efter min mening ikke gøre det hos folk, der er raske.
And the question is, why not give people a better hearing or vision than the normal standard? You could give truck drivers the ability to see at night. Perhaps the companies of the future require optimized employees. The so-called transhumanists have no qualms in improving human capabilities. They want an enhanced race, a kind of homo artifact in which human and machine have merged completely and the human consciousness becomes independent of a perishable body. They hope that in this way humans can live forever and travel freely across long distances in space, and that intelligence becomes much greater if it's connected with other intelligences. The British scientist Kevin Warwick is both famous and infamous for his experiments in which he connects his consciousness with computers and the internet. He's convinced that at some point we'll see an optimized human being with entirely new ethical standards.
It redefines I as a sort of a we, and I think that as a cyborg, my moral standpoint, my ethical standpoint, the values that I hold will be very different.
The American philosopher and former advisor to President Bush, Francis Fukuyama, doesn't like this vision. He believes that if a kind of homo artifact was produced, it would create so much inequality between people, it would become a threat to democracy. Thomas Sinclair is of the opinion that scientists like Kevin Warwick are dreamers rather than scientists, and that their work is unethical.
Det, der motiverer min forskning, det er jo, at de teknikker, vi her arbejder med, kan gøre nogle syge mennesker tættere på at være raske. Det synes jeg er en meget, meget stor motivering for mig. Jeg vil ikke bryde mig om at arbejde med forskere, der arbejder på at gøre raske personer supermennesker.
Some transhumanists believe that consciousness can be moved from the human brain to a machine. But according to Professor Giuseppe Longo of the University of Pisa, this is not possible.
Once people thought that the brain was commanding the body. But this is not true. The body is commanding the brain also. The computer has no environment. We are, it's linked to the universe. And if we do not put the universe into the computer, how can he ever know that there is a universe around him?
Some people think it's possible to program a universe and the experiences and knowledge of the body into a computer. Professor Longo doesn't subscribe to this belief.
We take the body, an adult body, and we transform it into its description. You know, we describe linguistically or mathematically or informationally, or we code the body. Can this work? This is the big question of this sort of post-human perspective. I say it doesn't work. There is more than information in a body. There is matter, there is energy, there is experience, there is feelings.
How far can and should we go? That's the question. All the way, if you ask Kevin Warwick.
We still have to perhaps worry about those we leave behind as humans. Maybe we should look after them in some way. After all, you know, they've been around for quite a few thousand years, so maybe we should feel benefactors and give them a reasonable amount of food and something to do with their pretty trivial life that they have.
Warwick predicts a glorious future for the optimized human being, with space travel and a far deeper understanding of the universe. If this is the future, will it be possible to refuse to take part? Will the world be divided into a lower and upper class based on intelligence? Will this be ethically justifiable? Will we love our robots? And are they going to have rights or only duties? Will we become cyborgs? There are many ethical issues in connection with the robot and cyborg technology of the future. It's up to us to decide how far we want to go.